What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, host of Set Point, here on OATIZ Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Back with you with another NCAA men's volleyball preview interview before the big dance. And with me, I have first-year head coach of Ball State men's volleyball, Mike Iandolo. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm good, Teran. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know it is busy times because you all are going to be hosting the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament. So I do want to get your thoughts on that. What's it like, and how much of an honor is it hosting the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament?
It's awesome, especially in this new, version of our tournament that's expanded. And this is something that's kind of new for everybody. And to be one of the first four teams to host a regional round like this in the history of it is pretty cool. And I'm super grateful that we were able to make it work. It's our graduation weekend. So our normal arena that we play in Worthen is used for our graduation. And so our admin was really aggressive in trying to find us another place to play in the event that we had to host. And I'm really glad it worked out. And the venue's awesome. We practiced there today, and it's going to look really good on TV. The court looks we took our Terraflex court down there and set it up, so it looks really good, and I think it's going to be fun.
I did not know that. Well, first of all, congratulations to all the Ball State graduates on graduating. That really cool. And second of all, shout out to your guys's administration for moving it and working quick when it comes to that. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So this being your first year as head coach, talk to me about your other coaching stops and talk to me about how you got into coaching.
Well, I started coaching altogether when I was 18 after my freshman year of college. I went back and I coached at my old club, which is Orlando Gold, club that's been around for a long time in Florida. And so I coached with them every summer while I was in college. And then after college, I moved back home to Florida and was continuing to coach with them, got in with the girls club, the local girls club OVA. And then I went back to my old high school and I was the JV coach for both girls and boys and assisted for varsity. I did that for 2 years. And then I said, you know what, I kind of want to get in the college game. And so I went back to Lewis, which is where I graduated from. And I was Dan's GA for a year. And then it was in that year that I kind of got the itch to play again. And that's when I went overseas and I played professionally for a few years. And then when I came back from that, I wanted to get back into coaching. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I coached a girls club team for a year while I tried to find a job. And then Matt Worley's a good friend of mine, needed an assistant coach at GCU. So he gave me a call and asked if I still wanted to coach. And I said yes. And within a week, I was working with him at GCU and was there for a year and went to Charleston, which is Division II in the EIVA, and was the head coach there for 3 years, where awesomely Larry Rather at Fort Valley State was my assistant my first 2 years, and so went from there to Fort Valley, and so it's cool that we're seeing each other this weekend in the tournament. And then from Charleston was there for 3 years, and when Donan got hired here, he gave me a call, and I was ready to make a change and maybe take a step back from being a head coach because it happened really fast, and maybe try to learn some things and kind of just slow some things down, and which was awesome. It's been an awesome 4 years as an assistant, and then I kind of got kind of blessed and grateful that I was here and in a good position to take over when he stepped down, and thankful for the opportunity, and then we just hit the ground running.
Awesome. Great little story right there. So I do want to talk about you all winning the MIVA conference tournament. What was basically like the game plan? Because you won the entire tournament going in without dropping a set. Like,
Yeah.
How did you all play so smart and whatnot?
Obviously a lot of credit to our guys. They did really well and stayed focused throughout. And it's a tough tournament, for different reasons. Some tournaments, they go 3 days in a row or 3 out of 4 days. We do ours over the course of a week, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. And so we had a week in between the end of the regular season and the first round of the playoffs. And so that was a long week, just trying to get the guys, keep them focused and not get too bored in practice, So, but once we got to playing, they've done a really good job managing things. And I can tell you, I didn't expect it all to be 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. But it's a nice little callback to the last time we won the MIVA tournament in 22. We won all three at 3-0 as well. And so a lot, I think, goes on our players for being ready to play and staying focused and, not getting too high, too low, especially if things weren't going our way. And, I give our assistants a lot of credit because they do a lot of work on scouts and things like that. And making sure we are knowing what's going on in matches and our setup for success. And then our guys are doing a good job executing. So, it's been kind of a similar story leading into this. Like, okay, we've had a week to kind of prepare. And it's just been a little bit busier trying to get, to be a host and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, it's a week to prepare again. And then, if we win on Saturday, it's going to move quick to go to the Final Four. So I kind of like the symmetry, though. It's good.
I love it. So I do want to get in your words, tell me how tough the MIVA is, just because we've called it MIVA Madness, MIVA Mania, MIVA Outstandingness. Talk to me about how tough, in your words, the MIVA really is.
It's very tough. You don't really have any games you can take lightly. Even if you look at Queens, who finished ninth this year and didn't make our MIVA tournament, they beat Ohio State, right? Like, you can't. Last year, we lost to Quincy towards the end of the season, who finished at the bottom of the conference. Like, you can't take a game lightly. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One, because the teams know each other so well, just like the coaches know each other. We all have our distinct styles of play. You know how to kind of stop it, all that kind of stuff. And so matches can get challenging. But I also think we have a very distinct home court advantage in the MIVA that I haven't really noticed as much in other conferences, in that, everybody gets a good crowd. We have a huge variety of different gyms, some smaller, some bigger, but everyone gets a good crowd. And so, like, it's tough to go on the road and play. And then a lot of times we're playing different teams, right? So because we have travel partners, when you go on the road, you're playing two different teams, not the same team in a weekend. And it becomes very challenging to go to one place, practice there, play there, and then go to another place, practice there, play there. And I kind of have to deal with two different gyms in the same weekend potentially. And, it just becomes all those things add to the challenges of trying to get through the grind of the season. And I would say it is a grind for sure. And, I wish I could really pinpoint what the exact thing is, but I think all those factors kind of play into it. But it's you have to grind it out. There is nobody that's going to win and just win every match. It just doesn't happen. And I don't know that it's happened very often in the history. So I would say that really, like, it's just the travel stuff, the different types of gyms, the home court advantages that teams have, are pretty distinct. And so it makes everything a challenge.
You mentioned Queens. That entire conference was really good top to bottom. And Queens did beat Belmont Abbey, who is in the NCAA tournament. And yeah, that win over Ohio State was good. I wrote about Queens. So I definitely agree that the MIVA is arguably the most exciting and one of the more tougher conferences in the nation. So let's talk about your team. Talk to me about who has stood out this year, and talk to me about players that have been also helping out this team that deserve some spotlight.
The first one I want to call out, everyone's thinking I'm going to talk about Pat, but I really want to talk about Victor, our libero. He has gotten no love this year, and to me, he's one of the best liberos in the country. He does so much for our team in both serve receive and defense, and maturity on the court and leadership and, second ball contact, like just taking care of the easy stuff. Like, he is so steady that you kind of forget he's there, which I think has been like part of the issue. Like, Pat gets a lot of attention and Machado gets a lot of attention, and our, Ryan Lewis has gotten a lot of attention as the season has gone on, rightly so. They all have played very, very well. But man, like, to me, Victor is the best libero in the conference, and to me, he's one of the best liberos in the country. And I don't think we are where we are without him. And so it's been awesome to have him as a part of our team, and kind of a bummer it's only going to be for this 1 year because he's a fifth-year guy, but would have loved to have had him for a few more years. But, he's an awesome dude, and he really does well for us. And I for sure, I don't think we are where we are without his play.
I totally agree with you when it comes to the libero position. It's just gets overlooked, not just in men's volleyball, but women's volleyball and every other volleyball volleyball level, that is.
Mhm.
And I just gotta say, hashtag justice for liberos, and your libero is no different.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing I would want to talk about is our middles, our group of middles. And everyone's been talking about, like, health has been important for everybody, and there's been some teams that have really dealt with some injuries. And I look at that group for us. That's the group for us that's gotten beat up, and we've had guys in and out. But we have five middles, and all five of them have played and started in matches that we have won. And so I look at that group as, man, we are really deep there, and we've got guys, no matter what's going on, they can really step up and help us win. And not everyone has that luxury in the middle, especially in that position. So I feel really good about that group and what they've been able to do for us this year.
One of those middles is Jacob Charette, who I actually covered back at Orange Coast College. He was a beast back there. So I'm glad he is on your team, and I'm glad he's been able to thrive for the most part.
For
So
sure.
a question I do want to ask is, what have been some of your favorite places to travel to? I know there's no place like home, but what are your favorite places to travel so far?
Hmm. I mean, outside of just this year, I love going to Hawaii. Obviously, it's a good environment. Outside, the travel back is tough, coming back in the time zones, but it's worth it because you get to experience a volleyball environment that's, not like anywhere else. And then I would say the same for BYU. I really enjoy going to BYU and playing. Even back when I was a player, that's one of my favorite places to play. And um, I always enjoy going back to Lewis because that's where I played. So it's nice to always go back to, my alma mater and get in that gym again. But, um, and this year we went to George Mason. I actually randomly, we haven't played a ton of matches against them in the last few years, but we traveled to Mason this year, and I haven't been there since I was in the IVA, and that was fun to be back in the DC area. And their gym it's unique, but they get a good crowd. It gets loud in there, and you're going to get a good match. And Jay's a great host as a coach, so I always enjoy going there too.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you had so many great options right there. And, you've been to a lot of places. You've been to Phoenix, Arizona. You've been to Illinois. The list goes on and on. So I know it's tough to pick one place, but, you've got a lot of unique places that you've been through.
For
So
sure.
looking at this week, you will face the winner of Fort Dodge State Pepperdine. Both those teams are really good. What's kind of the mindset going into this week, and what will it take to take down either of those opponents?
I mean, the mindset is the same it's been all season. It's about our side of the net and the things that we need to do in order to play well, and what our standard is, and what we set in the fall and what we've done a really good job carrying through the season. We know how we play. We know how we play our best, and we just need to make sure that we do that on Saturday, regardless of who we're playing. And if I look at the two teams that we potentially are playing, they both have unique challenges, right? Fort Valley is led by an alumni who's very comfortable in Indiana and being around Ball State and knows me very well and how I like to coach and things like that. And then, he's got some guys that, man, they can really score. If they are feeling good, they are scoring with the best of them in the country, and it's dangerous, right? Because they can take over a game in Fed and guys like that. So it's their own unique challenge because, man, they can score. It doesn't really matter what's going on. They can score and they can take over. And then I look at Pepperdine. It's like, I don't want to say sneaky good because they're not sneaky good. They've been one of the best teams in the country all year, but their pieces play together really well. They got a little bit different system, especially blocking defense wise than a lot of people, but they have the wild card of Cole Harkey and that they can just chuck him the ball and he can take over. But man, they really bring it from the end line. So you got to be on your game from the passing line. And you got to be able to stay in system against them because if you can do that, you can kind of limit what they do with their blocking defense and their serving. And if you're not able to kind of withstand the serves and you're out of system and you're playing that game with them, they can be really successful. And you've seen them beat some good teams, and they got guys that can play. And we got some familiarity with their setter because he was at Fort Wayne the last couple of years, and how he likes to play. But we haven't played them in the time I've been here. We haven't played Pepperdine, so a lot of those guys are going to be new to us if we see them on Saturday. And they provide again another unique challenge of they just can bring it from the end line, and they got some guys that can go take a rip.
Great analysis right there. And it should be a great little first round match tomorrow. As this recording, we're recording this on Thursday, the day before the NCAA tournament. So I do want to get your take on the new tournament format. It's now a 12-team format as opposed to being a 9-team format. What are your thoughts on it? And talk to me about how you feel about it.
I feel great about it. I love that there's more teams involved. It makes it feel more like a tournament, and that more people have chances, and that the regular season means a little bit more because you can still get in now. You have more chances to get into the tournament now for having a good season versus just winning a conference tournament. you know, and I think that helps grow the game. I think it helps make the tournament feel more like a tournament, like a women's tournament, like a March Madness, that kind of stuff. And so I think it's been great, you know, and this obviously is the first year we're doing these regional rounds, so we'll see how people feel about them. But, you know, even though it's been busy this week, I've enjoyed every second of it and trying to figure it out. I think it'd be obviously much more fun to have it on our own campus, but, you know, it's still been a really cool experience. And, you know, I'm looking forward to how it continues to develop and get better as we get used to doing this. And then hopefully we can keep adding more teams. That would be my goal, right? Can we get it to 16 teams? I think would be really awesome, and have, you know, two, you know, sides of 8 teams kind of thing. And I think that would be really awesome to have. And, but yeah, I think it's awesome.
I think next year the tournament should expand to 13 teams because the Great Lakes Valley will be an automatic qualifier, because this year is in its first year as a conference and it can't be an automatic qualifier per NCAA rules. So I think next year the tournament should expand to 13. But
yeah, but obviously, you know, in that scenario, either it goes up or they keep it the same and then there's less at large. And I think that's a bad way to go. Obviously, I would push for more, and keep it at an even number. So even if we have to go up to 14 or go up to 16, I think that should be the push. And, you know, I just love the environment. It'd be cool if we could get more of it at a final site, but I do like these regional rounds. I think it's going to draw a lot of attention and a lot of good vibes to the places that are playing, you know, and it's just like, again, it's a cool experience for the guys to be able to be part of this and to have more teams involved. I don't think it hurts the value of these matches in any way. I think it actually increases the value of the regular season, which, in some of the most successful sports in our country, it's because their regular season really means something. And so people tune in to watch, and players take it seriously, all that kind of stuff. So I'm hopeful that it continues to expand.
Teran Rodriguez, host of Set Point on ICE Sports Radio, with Ball State men's volleyball coach Mike Iandolo. Just a few more questions, then I'll let you go. So I know you're only in your first year as head coach for Ball State, but have there been any funny stories this year or in any year you've been a coach?
About just volleyball in general, or
it could be on or off the court.
Oh. He's going to hate me for saying this, but Ryan Lewis, our right side, last year as a freshman, in like the first month of practice, he went to go approach for a ball. We were just doing some like right side setter hitter connection stuff. And he went to approach for a ball, and he tripped over his toe, like clipped the ground, and he tripped and completely wiped out and hit the ground instead of hitting the ball, which was pretty funny. So I think that was a good one. And, you know, we've got some good stories from travel and things like that, but, you know, I leave those to the guys to tell.
I love it. You know, everyone seems to have that oopsie moment. And, you know, we all have those oops moments, but it's how you react and how you respond is basically what defines you. So,
without a doubt.
So you mentioned travel. If you get out of this weekend, you could have the potential of going to California and playing at UCLA. I need to ask you, have you been to In-N-Out? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, of course I've been in and out. I will let you in on, I don't know if you know this, but my first 2 years as a player, I was at Long Beach. I played for Long Beach for 2 years, and then I transferred to Lewis. So I've definitely had my fair share of in and out. I am a fan of the burgers. I don't like the fries. I'm sorry. I don't know if people will kill me for that, but I do like the burgers. I get them animal style, double doubles animal style, but not the fries. I'm not a big fan of the fries.
Yeah, I think the fries to me, are hit and miss as well. But yeah, I totally agree. I love the burgers. So in all your years as head coach, I do have to ask, what is your biggest volleyball ick?
Either as a coach, it's I would say showing up late, like guys being late to stuff, or talking when coaches are trying to explain something. As a player, man, I don't know. I don't know that I really had many. Probably short socks, like ankle socks, while playing.
That was actually the same answer that Belmont Abbey coach Derek Sullivan gave out in terms of the player wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. as from a coach's standpoint, I wouldn't. If I were a coach, I wouldn't tolerate being late because the old saying goes, "Early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable."
For sure.
So, a few more questions, then I'll let you go. This is a little bit more of a simple question. Ball State wins the national championship if they blank.
Continue to play our style of volleyball and our standard. We've proven, I think, over the course of the season that it's good enough to beat anybody, and our guys believe that. And we are good offensively, and we're good in a serve and pass game. So I think if we can continue to do that, I think we can continue to win. And if we've won, it's because we've continued to excel in those areas.
I love it. So if I ever want to come down to Muncie, and I asked this to Fort Valley State's head coach, Larry Rather, where's the best place to eat in terms of Muncie? Because Larry said that there was a great donut shop right by the campus.
There is a good donut shop. It's called Kincannon's. It's a nice little bakery. But if you were actually to end up in Muncie, we've got a couple nice breweries and pub houses. So we've got a place called Elm Street Brewery, which is really awesome. Like wings and pizza and beers and stuff like that. And then one of our sponsors for our athletics is called Pub House 1925, which is in our downtown Muncie area. Same thing, really, really good food. And then I'm a big fan of Roots Burger Bar, which is a place that's connected to campus in what's called the Village, which is just offside of a block off campus. And it's what it is. It's a burger bar. So they do smash burgers, but they've also got chicken and salads and things like that. And it's one of my favorite places to go. We take recruits there and stuff like that for eating off campus. And it's probably my favorite place. But there's a couple good ones.
Great stuff. I will remember that in case I travel down to Muncie. So one last thing. So on social media, I have been seeing, I think his name is Dave Shondell, the Purdue women's volleyball coach, endorsing the heck out of Ball State men's volleyball, saying Ball State is playing in the quarterfinals. They're hosting the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament. Have you met Dave Shondell or any other of the big-time volleyball people in Indiana?
Absolutely. So their family, their dad is the one who started the program here. And our practice gym is named after their father and Dr. Shondell. And, he was awesome for the sport and for Ball State and for Central Indiana here. And then his son, Dave, is the coach at Purdue, and he's been awesome. And then his other son, Steve Shondell, was a longtime high school coach here in Muncie, one of the most successful in the state of Indiana. And then he became the women's coach here at Ball State and then had to medically retire. And since then, he has been our PA guy. So he will actually be on the mic for the matches this weekend. And they're an awesome family. And Dave's son is the head coach at Butler women's volleyball. So the Shondells are big in volleyball here. And I'm thankful for their support and their continued passion for the program. It really goes a long way. And I'll say that about all of our alumni. We have an awesome alumni group that goes back to the 60s, and they are all still very much involved and care a lot about what we're doing. And there's going to be a large chunk of them at the match this weekend. So I love it.
How could I forget? Don Shondell was part of the Ball State men's volleyball program. I should have known that. So before we end this off, do you have any other shout outs or thank yous you want to give out to before we sign off?
No, just our fans. We have a great support system here in Muncie and in Central Indiana for volleyball. And, our success wouldn't have been what it was this year without that, fan engagement and people showing up at our matches. And, we were only had one loss at home this year. I think we were 14-1 or something like that at home. And, more than that, if you count the tournament games. So we don't have that success without those people coming in and living and dying on what we're doing. And I really, really appreciate that. Our guys appreciate it. It's a fun environment to play in. And I'm really looking forward to Saturday and get some of those people maybe to a new gym. But I love that we're still close enough for a lot of those fans to come and play. And, I really kind of just man, there's not a lot of places that get the kind of support that we do. And I'm really thankful for that.
As Charlie Wade once said, wins aren't only because of fans, or their wins are not for fans, they're because of them. And
Absolutely.
I definitely think that's the case for your fan base as well as the others. But listen, Mike, I appreciate your time. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I know we had to like shuffle things around, but I'm glad we made it work. It was a pleasure meeting you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Same. I really appreciate it.
Well, he is Mike Iandolo. I am Teran Rodriguez of Set Point on iSports Radio. This is another preview interview before the NCAA Men's Volleyball Tournament. See you soon, and remember, chirp, chirp.